Tale of Lazy Larry and the Magical Clock. Once upon a time in the quaint village of tellAtale, there lived a man named Lazy Larry. Larry was notorious for his indolence. He would wake up late, procrastinate his chores, and spend his afternoons napping under the old oak tree by the village square. His favorite saying was, "Why do today what you can do tomorrow?" One sunny morning, as Larry lounged under his tree, an elderly man with a long white beard approached him. The man introduced himself as Father Time. "Good day, young man," the old man greeted. "I am Father Time." Larry squinted at the stranger, bemused. "Father Time? Are you here to tell me I'm wasting my time?" Father Time chuckled. "In a manner of speaking, yes, but I also come bearing a gift." He reached into his cloak and pulled out a beautiful antique clock. It gleamed in the sunlight, with intricate engravings and a golden key. "This clock has magical powers. It can give you more time in a day, but use it wisely." Larry's eyes widened with excitement. "More time? That's perfect. I'll have more hours to relax and enjoy myself." Father Time's expression grew stern. "Remember, Larry, time is a precious resource. Use it well." Ignoring the warning, Larry eagerly accepted the gift. That evening, he twisted the golden key at the back of the clock. The clock chimed loudly, and to his amazement, the hands moved forward, adding 3 extra hours to his day. For the first few days, Larry reveled in his newfound leisure. He slept longer, basked under the sun, and watched the clouds drift by. But soon, he began to notice a change. The village continued its regular schedule, but Larry found himself constantly running out of time for important tasks. One day, as Larry ambled into the marketplace, Mrs. Potter, the baker's wife, approached him with a worried look. "Larry, did you forget our appointment to fix my roof? It's leaking terribly." Larry scratched his head, embarrassed. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Potter. I'll get to it tomorrow." Another villager, Old Man Jenkins, chimed in. "You said that yesterday, Larry. The crops need watering, and we're falling behind." Soon, more villagers gathered around, voicing their complaints. "Larry, my fence is still broken," cried Mr. Taylor. "You promised to help with the harvest," shouted Mrs. Green. Larry looked around and saw the village in disarray. People were late for appointments, the crops were wilting, and chaos seemed to reign. Realizing the extent of his negligence, Larry felt a pang of guilt and shame. He hung his head low, avoiding the accusing stares of his neighbors. Confused and overwhelmed, Larry returned home and stared at the magical clock. "How can I have more time and yet be falling behind?" he wondered aloud. That night, as Larry sat by the magical clock, Father Time reappeared. "Larry," he said sternly, "time is not meant to be wasted. It is a gift, and you must learn to value every moment." Larry hung his head. "I'm sorry, Father Time. I thought more hours meant more relaxation, but I see now that I've neglected my duties and let everyone down." Father Time nodded. "It's not too late to change, Larry. Use your time wisely, and you can still make things right." With a wave of his hand, Father Time took back the clock. "From now on, you'll have to manage your time the old-fashioned way." The next morning, Larry woke up early, determined to make amends. He started by fixing Mrs. Potter's roof, then moved on to help Old Man Jenkins with the crops. He apologized to each villager and worked earnestly to fulfill his promises. He prioritized his tasks, worked diligently, and found joy in being productive and helpful. As days turned into weeks, the village of tellAtale began to thrive once more. The villagers noticed the change in Larry and praised his dedication. Larry, in turn, felt a newfound sense of purpose and fulfillment. One evening, as Larry rested under the old oak tree, he reflected on his journey. He understood now that time, when used wisely, was not just a gift for relaxation, but also for growth, responsibility, and making a positive impact on those around him. The moral of the story? Time is a gift, not to be squandered. Use it wisely, for once it's gone, you can't get it back. Lazy Larry learned the hard way that every second counts, and so should we.